Hey, it's me again. So I'm gonna try to condense the first like 2 months of my AP Lit class down to like a few minutes because I've got to maximize my time here at work. Okay, so let's talk about real quick like how to find the central message of any sort of literary or fiction text. And teachers, this is going to be such a, I hope, a helpful tool to get your students to think in a very analytical way. So the biggest problem I had when I was teaching on-level sophomores was that we assumed that they know how to think analytically, and we never provided them the tools to scaffold from not being able to them pulling them up to almost like an AP level. So this was the most handy dandy tool that I had, and I have since used it with my biological children, just in looking at characters on movies. You know, we've done this with Elsa, we've done this with Shrek. So you can start with any character and kind of walk through these steps to get them to think analytically. So the first big idea that we need to think about is why story crafters craft a story to begin with. This is something that my students really struggle with. It's to teach some sort of a lesson, okay? So the idea is that we are trying to learn more about ourselves and humanity in the form of a story. Now, whether you buy into that or not, it doesn't really matter for this task. You may not think that a writer created a character to teach us a lesson through that character. Nonetheless, this is what we know that authors do. Movie makers do the same thing. So let's go through basically the steps. Again, this is scaffolding from the ground up to get kids to think analytically about fiction, stories, central message, whether in film or in story or in text, okay? So sometimes it just helps to start with a film that they are familiar with. We do this a lot with Lion King. For some reason, Shrek becomes the one that comes up over and over again. By the way, it's because a lot of those movies come from textual stories that have been recycled over and over again. So, boom. All right. You start with your character of focus. Now, this could be almost any character. The main character is the most helpful. Why? Because if I am trying to teach the world that unchecked ambition is terrible, and even though you think you're being really great, ultimately it's going to come back to kick you in the butt, I am going to create a character who is, you guessed it, ambitious. And what am I going to have happen to him? I'm going to kill him in the face with fire. Okay, I'm going to have like the worst outcome possible. That's why tragedies are so easy to read as didactic. Does that make sense? So didactic means teaches a lesson, sorry. That's why you see so many tragedies in school instruction, especially those good Shakespearean tragedies. Why? Because I gave you a character who sucked, and then I killed him at the end to try to teach you as explicitly as I can, don't be like that guy. See how that sucked for him? Don't do that thing. Death is the most extreme lesson there of like the most extreme negative outcome. So the whole point is to say, see what happened to that guy? Don't do that. Okay. So you take your character of focus and you give me an adjective. Y'all, little kids can do this. Even if you don't understand the wording of like the parts of speech, adjectives and nouns, you can say, you can give them a sentence stem. Macbeth is very blank. He's very ambitious. He's very greedy. Okay, so that's the next thing you're going to do is literally turn that adjective into a noun. Boom, you've got your theme. There is your theme. Okay, so you're not changing the idea, you're changing the part of speech. And again, if that's not your jam, give them a sentence stem. So you might say Macbeth is very blank. Instead, change that to Macbeth shows a lot of, and the object of that preposition is going to have to be a noun. Don't change the idea. Macbeth is very ambitious. He shows a lot of ambition. Okay? Be careful not to like nounify. Hey, Josh. Be careful not to like nounify a noun. Something that students struggle with is they'll say, Macbeth is very greedy. He shows a lot of greediness. Greed will do, okay? Greed is just as good of a noun as greediness. So you're not changing the idea, you're changing the part of speech. And then ask yourself, is this good or bad? And you can do this with emojis. You can do this with plus sign, minus sign. This is very easy. Any level student can do this. Your kid at home can do this right now about Princess Anna, okay? Sorry if that's not your jam, but she can do that. She can practice literary analysis with her favorite movie, her favorite character. Okay, so you ask yourself, is that good or bad? Well, for Macbeth, it's bad. You know why? He gets decapitated. Okay, spoiler alert, the dude gets murdered. Then the last thing you're going to do, and I'm going to walk you through this with a couple of examples too, you could leave it there. You could say, if this is my theme, ambition, your thematic statement, your central message that you're saying Shakespeare's trying to teach us that blank, you could leave it there. Some of our struggling students, we would let them leave it there and say, of course, we would help them scaffold, but if the best they could do is to say Shakespeare's teaching us that ambition is bad, put a period on that, you are good to go. That is your central message. That is your thematic statement. Easy, easy scaffold. For those students who needed that next level extension, we'd say, hey, grab a thesaurus, use your tools. How can we rework that thematic statement to make it a little bit more finesse, a little bit more eloquent, sophisticated, okay? So instead we might say something like, Shakespeare demonstrates through Macbeth that unchecked ambition inevitably results in negative consequences. Y'all, all I did was say a sexy version of ambition is bad. So notice I didn't change the idea. I'm a walking thesaurus because I practice this all the time. All I did was make it like the sexy version of ambition is bad. So your kids can do this. Let's go with something simple like the Three Little Pigs. Okay, let's talk about the pig who built his house of brick. Okay, all right. Who's our character? The third little pig. Give me an adjective. Now this is where you can really work vocabulary. Good vocabulary comes from there having to use it. Use a thesaurus too. So he's industrious, he's resourceful, and you're sitting there going, my kid would never come up with that. No, well, mine either, but maybe they start with an idea and we go, let's think about that. Let's go to a thesaurus. Let's see, do you mean this or do you mean that? Those two things are not exactly the same. So what's the best word? Where do we ultimately want to arrive? I sometimes when I challenge students on their wording, I say, I think that's on the path, but I don't think that's our end result. I don't know that we're going to end with smart. Okay, yes, he is smart, but like, is he smart or is he cunning or is he resourceful? That's not the same thing. Let's work toward where we want to go, and we're not going to stop until we're happy that we've arrived there. So what is our theme? If we're going to go with like, he's resourceful or he's intelligent or whatever you think he is. He's industrious. He was not lazy. He was willing to do the work that his siblings were not willing to do. Then he is industrious. Is that good or bad? It's good. His house didn't get blown down. Trisha, I think you're right. I think my son Atticus legitimately would. Yes, he's named after my favorite character ever. He has a better vocabulary than I do. So we started with the third pig who built his house of brick. We said he's industrious. He's not lazy. So maybe we start with lazy and we look up antonyms, okay? So what is the theme here? Industry. What about it? It worked out great for him. This was positive. His house did not get blown down. So you know what? We are arguing that the author's message is that industry is necessary for survival. However you want to say industry good. That's all we're saying. Industry good. If you want to make it the sexier version of that, go for it. But sometimes that might be all right. Let's get back to a more literary, more advanced one. And again, all ages of kids can do this. Yes, they can. They might need scaffolds, but yes, they can do this. Your kid at home right now can do this. They need help, but they can do it. Please challenge them to do that. Okay, Macbeth, ambitious, ambition, bad, unchecked ambition yields unforeseen negative consequences, whatever. All I did was make it a sexy version of ambition is bad. Y'all, this is like all I do with my students for AP, but you can do this at literally any level, okay? So take your character of focus, give me an adjective, turn that same adjective into a noun, tell me if it's good or bad, and then you finesse the wording based on where your student is or where your child is, okay? So that's really what we're doing here to get at literary analysis. That's all it is. A character is our window into literary analysis in a very easy way. Hope that one helps. That's kind of my favorite. I could talk about this, y'all, for literally hours. It's kind of my whole jam, okay? So if y'all have any questions about this, please let me know. But literary analysis made simple, it's just the character. The character is the author's tool to teach you about whatever qualities that character has. And yes, they have lots of characteristics. They have lots of adjectives. Pick one, and then the next level would be to trace it over the course of the title. So that's literary analysis in the most nutshell way that I can think to introduce it. Okay, y'all, again, message me, let me know what you're wanting to see. I'm gonna do a quick structure about essays, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So let me know if you'd like to see anything else. Good luck.